I guess we're going to get started. And first, thank you for coming back, some of you. And if you weren't with us the first time, thank you for joining us again. We're so excited. This was a lot more fun. The other one was good information, and it's a good session. But this is where our heart is. So we get excited about doing this one. We really like this one. So I'm Kay Ratzlaff, and I am the supervisor at the Florida Instructional Materials Center. Oh, we don't, is it working? Okay, you want me to do it? Okay. So we are, yes, sorry, go back. I hit the wrong button. You'd think this was the first time I've done this. That way, there we go. So this is routine-based learning for students in the birth to 2 cognitive range area. But the nice thing about this is it doesn't really matter. If you have a student that's having some difficulties learning or that needs more structure, this still fits. So there's a lot of good information in here, and so just know that it's good information. If you would prefer to have your handouts on your phone or on your tablet or anything like that instead of the paper ones that we have sprinkled around, and if you didn't get one of the green folders, feel free to get up and move to get one. But you can do the QR code. Just take a picture of that or put your camera up to that, and it will bring up the link, and you can go directly to that website, and all the handouts and everything are right there. So if you need help with that, let us know. We'll be glad to do that. So they're all right there. And it's sometimes just nice. The QR code is in the handouts too. So if you would ever want to refer back to them, then it's in there. And I am Kay Ratzlaff. I am a long-time certified teacher of the visually impaired. I've been doing this 30 some odd years. And I'm now the supervisor at the Florida Instructional Materials Center for the Visually Impaired. Like I said earlier, if you weren't in here, if you are not on our mailing list and anything that we say today or that we give you any information, you're like, wow, I'd like to know more about that. On the back table, there is sign-in sheets. You can fill that out, and then we'll get your email address from that and be able to send you more information. And that's what this is.
Hi, I'm Sherry Hart. I am an statewide educational specialist for the Florida Instructional Materials Center for the Visually Impaired. I have been teaching in the field of special education for over 30 years now. My background is as a TVI, teacher of the visually impaired, but I also have my master's degree in varying exceptionalities, and I spent about 13 years teaching pre-K VE. So I kind of run the gamut. So we're very excited. This is very dear to our hearts, so thank you for being here.
All right, so, go back. So when we talk about, yes, that's the right one. When we talk about sensory motor learners, and that's basically what we're talking about with this group right now. So kind of hang on to that and digest that term in a minute. So sensory motor learners are, and this is a quiz. This is your pop quiz for the day at 4 o'clock on Friday afternoon. Okay, so our sensory motor learners, are they learning to name, predict, use symbols, and organize their world? Or are they learning to explore, use their senses, and move? Or are they learning to reason, use the structure and rules of the world? 1, 2, or 3? Just hold it up your hands. You think it's a 1, 2, or a 3? Sensory motor learners. If you're holding up a 2, pat yourself on the back. You are correct. Okay. And actually it goes 2, 1, 3 is Piaget's movement of how learners develop. And so right now we're talking about those learners that are just learning to name, use symbols. No, next one, sorry. That are learning to explore, use their senses, and move. And that's all fine and good. But if you have a visual impairment, one of your senses doesn't work real well. And that impacts how you explore and how you move. And now, as I see several children in here, also have physical impairments. So now you've got two of those that aren't working real well. And how does that impact your ability to be able to advance and to move into the next level, which is to name, predict, use symbols, and organize their world? So when I say use symbols, what does that mean? What would be a symbol that almost everybody in this room would immediately recognize? If I flashed a great big M up on the board, what would everybody in this room know what I meant? McDonald's, right? That's a symbol. Print is a symbol. So we don't jump to using print until we have moved our way through moving and exploring and learning to use our senses. So I think sometimes, we need to expose print. I'm not saying expose print, expose Braille, but thinking that all they're doing right now is organizing their world. Okay? And that's one of the things we want to be sure we understand. Oh, wrong one. I'm trying to do this for the clicker. I'm a little rusty. It's been 16 months since we've stood up in front of a group and talked. So this is exciting, and I'm a little like, how do I do this anymore? So we talk, appetites and aversions, and I'm going to pass this over to, so sensory motor is just what we said. It's using your senses, and it's motor skills, it's moving. And how do we do those? So that was bringing that full circle. Then we're going to talk about appetites and aversions. We all have them, okay? We all have learned to identify them. I know if you put a salad in front of me that has chopped egg in it, I'm going to ask you to bring me something else. That's an aversion that I know I have. Could I scrape it all off and manage to handle it? Yeah. But because I can reason and rationally understand what I like and what I don't like, I'm not stuck with something I don't like. And how many of our kids, because we haven't identified their appetites and their aversions, get stuck with things they don't like? And am I going to enjoy that salad if I have to pick all the stuff out that I don't like? Probably not. And I'm probably, if I've specifically told somebody or tried to show somebody that I don't like that, and they continue to serve me that, then what do I learn? I learned that I don't like that person that keeps giving this stuff to me. I have unintended learning. So I'm going to turn it over to Sherry and let her do a little more on appetites and aversions, but kind of keep that frame of reference.
Okay, so when we're working with students in the sensory motor, we really need to focus on their appetites and aversions. And how do we learn what those things are? Because sometimes it's not easy to determine. They can't tell you, they can't say, I don't like that. It's really through trial and error, observation. And most times, parents know. Parents know what their kids like and what they don't like. Not always, but most times. And so as a teacher, I always wanted to draw on that because parents have been with them a lot longer than we have. But you really want to think about any kind of toys that they like. What do they gravitate towards? What do they respond to, even if it's in a small way? What do they not like? What do they push away? What do they not go back to? Really observing, because you want to build on the things that they like, their appetites, what they want. You want to avoid aversions when you're teaching, because they're going to automatically push it away, turn off, not want to learn if you're trying to make them learn through something that they don't like. So how do we find those appetites and aversions? So we're going to do a couple of quick videos, and we're going to practice.
Wendy Prey, and vision consultant Millie Smith. Observe him in an adapted play environment. Freddie sits on a beanbag and plays with hanging objects. Freddie has visual and auditory impairments. Through this observation, his teacher assesses his present or baseline level of sensory motor stage performance at the exploration level. February.
Okay.
Hair root.
Okay, so that was an appetite. He was reaching out, he was grabbing, you could kind of see a smile, he was pulling on it, he was engaged. That would be an appetite. He liked it.
And we're going to see a lot more about Freddie. So
Yes.
remember that too. We're going to build on that.
Wendy Prey,
Sorry.
and
It didn't advance. Okay, here we go. Okay, so here's another one. Short little
Smith
clip.
observes Isaiah and his teacher, Ms. Higgins, in a familiar activity, shaving. Ms. Higgins unzips the bag and helps Isaiah touch the shaving brush. He is not interested and pushes the brush away as it touches his face.
Appetite or aversion? Big time aversion. So if you were going to start a routine or something, you wouldn't want to start with something like this. It may be something he needs to learn, but you don't want to start with this. You want to build to something like this because he's automatically going to turn off and tune you out. We're going to do one more.
Ms. Martha waits for Adam to look at it. When he touches the roller, she rolls it on his chest and hands using light pressure. Adam smiles at Ms. Martha, and in reaction to the roller, he touches the roller periodically with his hands. This interaction with objects is typical for Adam. He demonstrates attention to objects and people using emerging exploration skills.
Appetite or aversion? Appetite, big time. The smile. One of the most important things, and one of the reasons I like to use this video, is did you see the wait time? Did you see how long she had to pause? She didn't show it to him for a second and go, he's not interested. She had to wait. It took him a few minutes. And you wouldn't even necessarily know that he saw it. If you knew him better, you would probably realize it because he was starting to get excited. The first thing he did was he just kind of sat there for a minute and then he started to move his head. But you could kind of see the smile. And it still took him another minute to reach out and grab it. And she was patient. Sometimes these kinds of kids with these multiple impairments, they just need you to be patient and wait. Wait them out a few minutes. That is the hardest thing. There is so many times I would have to sit on my hands because you want to help. But giving them that wait time, very important. So this was definitely an appetite for him. So now that we know some appetites, we know some aversions, what do we do with those and how do we build on them to enhance learning?
A lot of times we talk learning media, and people immediately assume large print, Braille, computers, media, right? What were the two learning medias that we just saw in those videos? The strings and a paint roller. Who would have ever thought, right? A paint roller could be a way to teach. So again, we're thinking in terms of those objects become the media for the children in this population, okay? Okay, so once you've identified those appetites, thank you, then you're doing an assessment. So you can probably already right now in your head name 4 or 5 things And it may be squishy balls. It may be the sound of the doorbell. It might be the sound of Dad's voice. It might be, there's anything that gives them, that engages them, that they want to do more of, that becomes an appetite. So that's your assessment. You've already done your assessment. Now you're going to discuss this with all the team members and try to figure out, how do we use this to teach? What can we do with that paint roller to teach? How are we going to use that paint roller as a learning media? And then we're going to continue to observe. And then by doing that, by systematically thinking through that process, you have just developed a learning routine. So when I say, what would be something that you could teach with that paint roller? Anybody? Do what? I'm sorry, I still didn't hear you. I still didn't hear you. Straight lines. Texture. I'm thinking, let's take it even down further. Something a little easier. Body parts. We're going to roll this on your head. We're going to roll this on your leg. And you use the media of that thing that he likes to start working on body parts. Up. We're going to push it up. We're going to push it down. So very basic, very simple, but you already know they like it. So what are they going to engage? They're going to be engaged with that. So those are the things you want to think. So those are the kinds of things you're thinking, okay, I would really like for him to know his hands and his feet and his legs and his arms. Okay, that's your goal. That's your lesson. And you're going to use that paintbrush or whatever it is that they like. Maybe it's a squishy ball, maybe it's a bell, maybe it's a whatever thing that's a tactile thing that they like. You're going to use that to create that learning routine. So once we get routines in, it's fairly, once we all have our morning routines, right? And as long as everything goes the way we should, we're pretty good, right? But yet when we're at a hotel or we're someplace that we've never been before, does it feel kind of like the second one over here, like a spiral thing that's all, I would even say even a little more squiggly? How many trips did I take out to the suitcase this morning? I forgot my, I don't do that at home. I have my routine. It's very nice and easy. And even the one earlier, Sherry mentioned, for our kids, if somebody else, if we can do it 2 or 3 times, okay, then we're pretty good. It's going to be 30 or 40 times for our kids because they need that repetition, over and over and over and over. So understanding and realizing that is a big piece of it. So, you've got to kind of keep this in mind. Okay, so we're still over here with that paintbrush thing. Eventually, we're going to get to where it's easy. So these are some wonderful quotes. A lot of this comes from what we call the Sensory Learning Kit. And it is a thing from the American Printing House for the Blind. We have some in our FIMC loan library. There are books, there's manuals, you can get some of this stuff online, and it is a fabulous resource. So think about that. Millie Smith is the one that wrote these, and she's a treasure. So predictability. I know what is going to happen from start to finish. So when they get that paint roller out, he kind of knows what's going to happen, right? So he can relax and he can learn. So much of what our kids go through on a day-to-day basis is it's like they live in a fun house and they never know what's going to jump out at them around the next corner. because they don't see it. They sometimes don't hear it real well. They don't know what to expect. They haven't had time to process it. And everything is a startle. Well, you don't learn real well when you're constantly being startled. But predictability, I know what's going to happen, I can relax, and I can learn. Consistency. Oh, now I know what's expected of me. Anticipation. When he saw the paint roller, he could anticipate, oh, that's that thing, she's going to rub that on my tummy, and I just love that. He gets ready. And anticipation is the key to time, to measurement, to all those other things, is when they can begin to anticipate what's going to happen. But again, if it's a brand new, everything's out of order, brand new, everything's changing all the time, they can't, there's nothing to hang on to. It's a total chaos all the time. And then practice. Oh, I know what I did. I know what this was last time. They wanted me to hit this switch, or they wanted me to laugh, or they wanted me to, okay, I think I can do that again. And they've got time to process some of that. So those are just think about some of that.
Okay, so there are two different types of learning routines. There are integrated routines, which occur as a naturally part of your day. It happens every day. These are almost the best ones because they are a natural part of the day. The kids can anticipate. It's consistent. It's generally done in the same way. Think of those things. Dressing every morning, bathing, eating, diapering, changing, those kinds of things that are everyday routines. If you can build some learning into those pieces, you're doing those anyway. It's happening 2 or 3 times a day at least. Think of all the practice they can get, because they do need a great deal of practice with them. And then the other piece is the one-on-one direct teaching routine. That's where you're starting something from new. It's not happening necessarily as a naturally occurring event within the day, but they are learning, and all of those pieces need to be built into the direct teaching routines as well. Okay, so we're going to start. We saw Freddie. He was the one that was playing with the beads. They now know that he likes the beads. That's an appetite for him. So where are they going to go from here?
Exploration. Freddie learns to identify unfamiliar objects. Freddie chooses his hair routine symbol on his iPad, registered trademark.
Okay, so just a little bit of background before we watch it. So when they were doing the appetites and aversions, one of the things that Freddie really liked was he liked his head to be rubbed. How do you build a routine out of that? What can you do with that? Look at this amazing learning experience that they built for him.
And think of how many of your kids love iPads.
You want to brush? Let's brush your hair.
So he picked his
Ms. Prey
routine.
presents Freddie with his hair routine box.
Look, I've got your water. I've got your water. Can you help me?
After she taps the bottle to the table and gives Freddie elbow support, he grasps the spray bottle. Ms. Prey sprays water into her hand. With elbow support, Freddie touches the water in her hand. Ms. Prey guides his hand to his head, and after he touches his hair, she massages the water into his hair. Freddie's love of massage is the motivation for this routine.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Let's look at your wild hair. Look at your wild hair.
Ms. Prey holds the SLK mirror for Freddie. He attends to his reflection for just a second,
So she's
She
giving him
taps a brush on
auditory
the table,
cues by
and Freddie
tapping.
eventually places his hand on the handle.
You want to brush that wild hair?
Using hand under wrist support, she guides his hand and the brush to his head, and then she brushes his hair.
We'll clean up, but look. See, look at your handsome hair.
Freddie looks in the mirror for a second.
Okay. Look, let's put our water away.
With arm support, Freddie drops each item into the box. He demonstrates improved grasping skills.
Good job. We're gonna put our brush away. You ready? In the bucket. Good job. Good job. And you wanna tell me? What do you wanna do? Use your words. Use your words, sweetie.
Mark.
Okay, so that's it. That's the end. That's the very beginning of the routine. They've only done it a couple of times. It's beginning. It started with an appetite. He liked the massage on his head. They developed steps along the way. It's going to be consistent. They're going to practice it.
And notice too, the hand under hand, not hand over hand. So I always say, if you don't live with anything but this, please remember this. When you are taking a child's hand and forcing it into things, again, go back to the funhouse analogy, they don't know what's in there. They don't know what they're going to touch. And what do any of us do? Pull back. I don't want that. I don't know what that is. But if you do hand under hand, Sherry, let me do, so like I'm teaching and I've got this thing that I want Sherry to find, okay? So I'm gonna take Sherry's hand and my hand, we're doing it together this way. Her hand's on top of my hand. I'm going to reach in. Who's gonna touch it first? I am. What am I building? Trust. Building a lot of trust. Come on, let's do this together. And sometimes at the beginning, you can't do this with the microphone, you're going to have to do a little elbow assistance, to get them to go with you, and that's okay, but you still want them to go with you, and we reach down. I pick it up first. Oh, wow, what is that? I say, you don't want to touch my mask, probably. So I'm going to, and then I slowly pull back and let them have what the object is, whatever. But hand under hand, we see so many kids that become tactile defensive because they've been pushed into things that they don't know what they're doing, and it's it's a natural reaction. So try hand under hand. Like I said, sometimes in the beginning you might have to use a little elbow pressure to give them the idea. But once they've done it 2 or 3 times, then they're like, oh, okay. Again, predictability. I know they're going to do this with me. And if you're holding and pulling, they've done MRIs on children with the teachers doing those kinds of things. There's no brain activity. None. They're just along for the ride. But if they're having to rest their hand on yours and do it with you, the brain's firing. And they're able, because it takes active participation, not passive. It's not just, you're not doing to, they're doing with. Okay, next video. Oh, no, this one. Okay, so eventually then, he sees the hair routine. He likes that. He maybe gets another routine, a diapering routine, and maybe you have a lunchtime routine. So when you do that, then again, thinking of anticipation, then here is some examples of what we call calendar systems or schedules. And this is one that I saw at a school in Fort Lauderdale. And I would have preferred it to be vertical, but they didn't have space, so they did what they had. And all it is a piece of Velcro The bucket you can kind of see back here behind, and there's a plastic bin that's got some other stuff in it. And so there's a maraca, a book, and a spoon. And this was mid-morning, so they've already taken the first couple of things off that person's schedule. How many of us use schedules and calendars to plan our week, our day, our presentation, whatever, right? We can't keep all this in our head anymore. So by having something like this, there's, so what do you think when she goes over and she gets the maraca? What do you think it is? Music time. And this little 3-year-old took that maraca and went whoop right over there. I mean, she knew exactly where to go for music time. Spoon is lunchtime. The book was story time. And she carried the object with her, and then when the activity was over, she took the object that represented that activity. Symbols. We're moving into symbols. You see the progression? So we're moving into symbols, and that goes into the finished box. Think of all the concepts you just taught right there. Symbols, start, finish, O&M for location. The idea that I now know what's going to happen. So this one here says OT, I can't see this. Eat time, play, and PT. So there are symbols for each one of those things in this child's box. So maybe they're not real crazy about OT, but they really like eat. So if they can see, okay, I gotta go to OT. Oh, but next is lunch. Okay, I'm okay with that then. It helps them organize and understand what's going to happen.
So just a couple things I want to point out about the calendar systems. Notice that they put dark black underneath them because that makes the objects stand out visually a lot more. So if they do have some vision, it's going to make them really hone in and know on it. When you are doing a calendar system, it needs to be consistent. The same object for the same thing every single day. If they are doing it at school and at home, try and have the same object at school and at home. So they know, like, whatever they're doing for eating should be the same for breakfast, should be the same for lunch, should be the same for dinner. You can go to the dollar store and buy spoons, a set of spoons, and everybody has one that's the same. Hopefully it's one that they use, because the more functional it is, the more they're going to understand it. Then, and always the done bin. You always want to have, okay, we did that, we're done, let's look at the next thing. And once you move, that's kind of the beginning stage, then you can move to a more static, linear. This is one on an all-in-one board. It's the same concepts. First one, then the next, then the next. You can kind of see what they're doing along the way. And then that can progress from actual objects. You always want to start with true actual objects into another kind of symbol, a tactile symbol, and now you've built in the next layer. So you want to really begin at the beginning foundational stage, but you can see the progression. And then if they get good at that, now they've learned tactile symbols, maybe they're ready for some Braille. It needs to go in the steps and stages. You can't go from one and skip and suddenly get them to Braille and something like that. There needs to be that progression along the way. Mm-hmm. Oh, I think it went to...
Okay, another Millie Smith quote. The power of a routine is the precise planning of what the student will do and how he will do it in each step of the routine. Many students are able to learn new skills and participate at higher levels when this strategy is used, because they need the things a routine provides. Okay, so break that down a little bit. The student will know, where'd I lose it? The planning of what the student will do. So you have to decide, is the iPad, is the student going to push the button on the iPad? And probably to start, that's the only symbol that you would have on the iPad. So if they touch anywhere on the iPad, you're like, yes, that's right, we're going to do the hairbrush routine. You know, sometimes you got to lead them there. So, and then eventually you'll maybe move that around. And so now you're working on, they've got to find it. So you're working on some vision skills. So they have to locate it. So you're constantly kind of up in the ante a little. After they've mastered it, don't up the ante until they're very, very consistent with it. Then you can start, wait a minute, where'd it go? I got to find it. I know I want to do this. So you're building that in. So what they will do, how they will do each step. At the beginning, like I said, you may have to do some elbow support to get them to go with you. So you're going to write that into the routine, with an elbow support and hand under hand, or you're going to create that in your head. You guys don't have to write them down. Teachers have to write them down. Okay, so we're going to do it this way with this hand, with the elbow support, and then I'm going to make sure that he stays with me for 3 seconds. If I can get him to stay with me for 3 seconds, then we got that. Then the next week it's going to be 5 seconds, and then it's going to be 10 seconds. And so you see, he's learning to stay with you and to do that same thing, he or she. And by doing this very slow, incremental process, then they're able to learn. Consistent, predictable, and engaging. So they are able to learn these things. But again, if it's this new thing every day, I'm going to pull a new toy out of the bag, and we're going to, I don't know what you want me to do. I don't know how to do it. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this. Yeah, it's fun. It's shiny. It's cool. But it means nothing to me. But if I see that hairbrush thing come out, I'm going to get my head rubbed. She's going to sit with me. All those things I like because it's predictable, okay? So students with severe disabilities rarely do every step of a routine. And you saw, like even with Freddie, how she like started raising his arm to his head, but then he couldn't go any further. So she finished it, and she did the spray and the water and that kind of stuff. So they can't do every step. That's okay. But he could hold the bottle, and notice it was a nice small bottle that fit in his hands. So again, tailoring it to the needs of the child. So find the parts of the routine that they can do and then continue to build on it. But they are afforded, and I love this, the dignity of doing everything that they are cognitively and physically capable of doing. The dignity of doing that. I'm a pretty smart person. Got a couple college degrees, right? If you dropped me in an electrical engineering class, I would feel as stupid as could be. I could read all the words in the book. I had no idea what they mean. None whatsoever. I have no background. I have no concepts. I have nothing to draw on with that. And I think that's sometimes what we do to so many of our kids. We drop them into these things where they have no preparation, that we haven't built the foundations through some routine-based learning. So I can get on my soapbox real quick, so be careful. Okay, there's another good one.
Okay, so very beginning of the routine, needed a lot of support. She did a great deal of it for him, but he was definitely engaged. He liked it. He did what he could. So this is going to be months down the line. I think this one was 2 months. But every day, several times a day, over and over and over again.
And these videos are all on YouTube.
Yeah, these are all, and
May.
you'll
Hair
have
routine,
links. They all have
Function
links.
level. Freddie selects his brush hair routine on his iPad.
Did you see how fast he did that time? And that it was one little box?
We gotta spray the water.
Freddie now lifts the bottle of water out of the box without arm support. Freddie consistently holds his palm open to receive water. Freddie has difficulty bringing his open hand to his head. Watch the teacher conference chapter to learn why.
Did you see how much higher
makes
he
it
did
with a
get
little
with it, though?
assistance.
I mean, he
He
went from
enjoys
here
his
to
head
here.
massage. Freddie pulls the mirror from the box independently and looks at his wild hair.
And see how much smaller the mirror is? So they've shrunk the target.
Ms. Prey presents and turns on a hairdryer.
So they're building into a
like to dry
routine
your
he
hair?
already is familiar with.
Freddie looks to his teacher for confirmation and then picks up the dryer. Ms. Prey helps Freddie hold the hairdryer straight,
Look at how
but he
high
keeps
his
a good
arm is
grip on it.
now.
She places the dryer back on the table.
Would you like to dry your hair?
Freddie picks it up immediately. As you can see, Freddie enjoys drying his hair and waves his free arm up and around to the sound and feel of the hairdryer.
Okay, you got it?
Freddie completes his hair routine with brushing his hair and
Hair.
looking at his handsome hair. He is now an expert at cleanup. In goes the mirror.
We need to put our brush in the box.
In goes the brush.
Good job. We need to put our water in the box. Got it?
In goes the bottle of water.
In the box. Nice.
And, with a little hesitation, because the hairdryer is Freddie's favorite, he places it in the box.
You tell me. I know. this
No,
one's your
I want
favorite,
it.
isn't You put it in the box. Nice job.
All finished. May.
Okay, so you can see how they started with something very basic and already they're building on something familiar. We talked about appetites and aversions at the beginning. This is when you can start using some of those aversions because then you can start doing some choice making. He now has a routine, he knows it, he likes it, he's familiar with it, he can anticipate it, he knows what's happening. So at the very beginning, for choice making, you can give him the choice between the appetite, the thing that he likes, and one of the aversions, something he doesn't like, because it's not going to take him very long to learn. If he picks the aversion, he's not going to like that. I need to pick the thing that I like. So you can, that's why the aversions are almost as important as the appetites. You want to build on the appetites, but you can also use the aversions, especially in that very beginning choice-making stage. So we're going to go into some of the basic steps and some of the routines you can develop in your house.
So, we're just building a simple routine, a consistent thing. We know that Susie likes to rock. So you're going to, and she likes the blanket. So we're going to use the blanket as because you can't really do a symbol for, I guess you could do but the blanket is the symbol because that's what she feels. That's what she's holding. It's not a symbol for us. A tiny rocking chair, that doesn't mean anything to her. That's not what she experiences. She experiences the blanket, okay? So understand that too. Because we used to say, we'd show kids tiny school buses. Oh, it's time to go home. That's not what that bus looks like to them. You know what they know from the school bus? The strap from the seatbelt. You give them a piece for the seatbelt, and now they're like, oh, I know what that is. So you've got to think in those terms too. So give her the blanket and say, let's rock. And maybe you have a sign for rock. I don't sign. Okay, thank you. A sign for rock. Guide the child to the rocking chair, and you keep the rocking chair in the same place so they know where it is. Say, let's rock. Sit in the chair. Puts the child in the chair with them, with the blanket, and rock. And maybe you sing a little song. Rock, rock, rockin' Susie. 3 times. Rock, rock, rockin' Susie. Rock, rock, rockin' Susie. Stop. And you stop. But Susie likes this. And Susie wants more. So what does she do? She goes, well, I want to rock. And you say, all right, let's rock. She communicated what she wanted. I didn't decide it. I waited for Susie to tell me. And I rock, sing the little song, stop, and wait.
The waiting is the hardest, but the most important piece.
Hardest. And if she doesn't say anything, then we give the sign for all finished, and we get up. Sometimes I would look for like a foot to twitch. Oh, you want more? And we would do the sign for more, and we would do the rock again. And then we'd be like, oh, how did I get that to happen? And so you're slowly building those incremental steps into that. And that can go into maybe you stop singing that little song and you start counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, stop. She wants it again. Okay. 1, and you do it again. Now you're starting to teach counting because the rocking chair is the learning media. And maybe you say, let's put the blanket on your foot. And then we rock with the blanket, or you're teaching body parts. Okay, I see some of you kind of going, oh, okay. So it's starting to kind of make some sense. Okay, and I forgot what's that. Oh, this same thing. So, and you can sometimes take up, and you have to count in your head at least 15 seconds before you assume that the child is done. Because you would be surprised. Simple as a wiggle. Most of the time you'll get, this. That head, they'll butt their head back up against you like, come on, we're doing, let's go. So that's that. And then you repeat it. And then at the end, then you get up and you take the blanket to a finished box. And you say, okay, we are finished or all done, whatever works for you. I'm not going to put the words in your mouth, but it's the start, get with the blanket, and it's the finish. Now, what else does that help them learn to do? Transition to different activities because they understand start and finish. Okay, and then we know so many of our kids have major problems when it comes to stopping a preferred activity. So if they build those in early, then they understand that. You add a start box, you add the sign for more, you add the sign for stop. You can maybe then transition from the blanket to a doll, a baby doll or whatever, and maybe put them in a rocking chair by themselves. And you stand behind and rock. So you see how you can change it up with the same learning happening, but now you're transitioning away from sitting in your lap to rocking by themselves. And again, that independence and all of that.
One of the most important pieces that we said at the beginning is consistency. So everybody needs to be doing it the same way. Using the same words. So communication is key between family members, between mom and dad, between home and school. Everybody needs to be doing it the same way because they need to be able to anticipate and know what's happening next. So it doesn't matter what the routine is, it doesn't matter what words you use, as long as everybody is doing it the exact same way with the exact same words every time. Very key.
If if you're saying all done and grandma's saying finished and the teacher is saying, I don't know, what else would you say for that? But anyway, it's like, what, I don't know what that means. Eventually you can do that. But again, thinking how long it's going to take. Okay, we got one more Freddie, don't we? Oh yeah, I know. I'm looking at our time. We can talk about this. So okay,
What time
it's 10. I know.
Okay, so now is the next step in Freddie's routine. How can they build on what they've done? They've done so much. He's come so far.
Literacy. Freddie's SLK hair routine becomes a Sam box story and book. Freddie builds a box story. Freddie and Ms. Prey sit with 4 story boxes and a box filled with the routine objects. Freddie places the bottle of water in the first box as Ms. Prey says, Freddie sprays water in his hand. Ms. Prey says, Freddie rubs his hair, which he does. Next, Freddie places the mirror in the second box as Ms. Prey says, Freddie looks at his wild hair. Next, Freddie places the hairbrush in the third box as Ms. Prey says, Freddie brushes his wild hair. Last, Freddie places a second identical mirror in the fourth box as Ms. Prey says, Freddie looks at his handsome hair. Freddie and Ms. Prey prepare to read a book titled Freddie's Hair as they empty each story box. Freddie removes the bottle from the first box as Ms. Prey reads page 1. Freddie looks at his bottle and the picture of a similar spray bottle in the book. They turn the page and Ms. Prey reads page 2 about rubbing his hair. Freddie sees his hand and the photograph of a child's open palm on the page. As Ms. Prey reads page 3 about Freddie's wild hair, they look at the mirror from the box story and the picture of the mirror in the book. Freddie and Ms. Prey compare, side by side, the brush and the picture of a similar brush in the book as they read page 4. While Ms. Prey reads about Freddie's handsome hair on page 5, he compares the second mirror to the picture of a mirror in the book. As the last object is placed in the finished box, Ms. Prey reads, Freddie cleans up, while he looks at the picture of a similar box. Ms. Prey reads the last page of the book, which says, The End. Teacher and student look at each other with a sense of accomplishment.
Beginning literacy. And you could put the Braille words on the page if the child needs Braille instead of the print words. And maybe a tactile graphic or actually get a smaller version of the mirror and attach it to the page. And then the word mirror underneath it. So we start building that object and word connection, that those bumps mean something. And it might be 100 times that you read that before they start realizing, So you got to think of it that way. So at home, you can practice an established routine, and doing that across settings, doing it at your house, doing it at grandma's house, mom doing it, dad doing it, grandma doing it. Again, you're building it and you're helping them understand that, this is what's going to happen. I know what to expect. I know how it's going to work. I know it's not scary, and anybody can do it. Babysitter, think how nice it would be to have a babysitter say, okay, here's how we do it. Come watch me, let me show you, and then they're comfortable because they know the routine. It's not the person, it's the routine. Then share those successful routines with school-based personnel. Help them see, if you do this way 3 times a day, then it's going to make your day easier as well as our day easier. And then again, that communication across all the players. Okay, you want to do another one?
Okay, we got time. If you need to leave, leave. This one might go a little bit long, but this one is She is a little bit, she's more involved than Freddie, but you can see how she progressed through her routine from very basic to literacy.
January, move bells routine, exploration. Arna learns direct body, object, cause, and effect by moving her body to ring bells. While Arna lies in supine on a wedge, Ms. Mallory tells Arna that it is time for her move bells routine by presenting bells in the now container using sound, movement, and high visual contrast accommodations. The bell bracelet has orange fabric attached to it to make it a more attractive visual target. Ms. Mallory uses elbow support to help Arna reach for and touch the bells so she can integrate visual and tactual information while reading her calendar.
Get ready. The bell is on your hand. Move hand.
In phase 1 of the routine, Ms. Mallory places the bells on Arna's hands, knees, feet, and head. She labels each body part and tactually models movement to make the bells ring.
The bell is on your knee.
So the bells were Arna's appetite. They're using it to teach body
The
parts.
bell is on your foot. Move foot. The bell is on your foot. Move foot. The bell is on your knee. Move knee. All right, the bell is on your head. Move head. All right, Arna, it's your turn.
In the second phase of this routine, Ms. Mallory places the bells on each body part and gives Arna ample time to move them herself in order to make the bells ring.
Get ready. The bell is on your hand. Move hand. Good job, Arna. All right. The bell is on your hand. Move hand. Good job.
There is that wait time.
All right. The bell is on your knee. Move knee. Good. Moved knee. All right. The bell is on your foot. Move foot.
After 12 seconds with no movement, Ms. Mallory gives Arna a verbal and physical prompt.
Move foot.
After waiting an additional 12 seconds, she provides Arna with physical assistance for movement.
I'm going to help you. Move foot.
They're not going to get it the first time
Ms.
every
Mallory
time.
moves the bells to Arna's other foot.
All right. The bell is on your foot. Move foot.
Ms. Mallory uses concise verbal instructions and remains quiet during wait time so that Arna can focus her attention on her movement. While
And
Ms.
there it
Mallory is
goes.
exposing Arna to basic body parts vocabulary, the main goal of the routine is for Arna to learn the cause and effect relationship between moving her body and hearing the bells ring.
I'll pause it just a second. So, the motor planning that she has to do to think, okay, it's on my foot.
January,
I've got to
Move
I've got-
bells
you know,
routine.
it's a
exploration.
and it's a brain process that she's building
Arna-
those brain connections. And if the teacher's going, come on, you can do it. I know you could do it. Let's try it again. Do what? What? Where? How? Totally loses them.
Learns
But
direct
by
body,
zipping them, being quiet, using touch cues,
object,
and giving them time to process that
Cause and effect.
is so, so, so important. So, okay, keep going. I know. It's fine.
Now it won't let me jump.
Oh, won't let us. But, and I always, and you guys are free to leave anytime, but you can tell we love this.
January. Move.
Okay, so when did the first one, so January to June, let's say.
Using a switch is a
January to June is going to go by, whether we do these routines or not. It's going to happen. Let's make them meaningful. Let's give
tool
them
to activate
something
music on the
they can use. Because by June, you can be where you are now, or next January, you can be where you are right now with nothing have changed. Or you can try implementing a few of these things and just see if by January things have changed. We're not asking you to go build a rocket ship. You know, it's not rocket science, but it's consistency.
iPad.
It's you've got to start somewhere. Let me finish this, and then we'll take questions.
All right,
Same,
Arna.
same little girl.
It's time for iPad.
Arna begins the routine by reading the object symbol, her iPad, in the Now container. Ms. Mallory presents this symbol in Arna's left, central, and right visual quadrants with direct lighting to obtain visual shift and fixation. Having mastered the skill of using her body to create a desired effect, listening to bells ring, Arna learns to use a switch as a tool to create a desired effect, playing music on her iPad. Ms. Mallory attaches a clamp and head switch to Arna's wheelchair tray to make the iPad accessible to Arna. The Now container provided context and meaning to the materials and sounds required for setup. Arna watches black and white designs moving to music on the iPad. After timed seconds, it stops. The ding prompts Arna to continue. Ms. Mallory gives Arna time to think and act. After about 30 seconds, Arna looks to Ms. Mallory and vocalizes. Ms. Mallory knows that Arna is laughing in her own unique way.
It's really funny.
Arna activates it again.
Good job. Arna, are you finished? All done?
Arna activates it a third time.
Okay. It's usually a good... It's okay, you can do a couple more. Good job.
Arna looks to Ms. Mallory and then taps the switch with her cheek again to turn the page.
Was one of the nicest monsters around.
Ms. Mallory provides ample wait time and remains very quiet so Arna can focus on her movement. Arna looks to Ms. Mallory and vocalizes. Ms. Mallory provides a simple physical and verbal prompt.
You can do it. Try again.
After thinking for more than 30 seconds, with determination, Arna looks again to Ms. Mallory and then turns the page.
he would always.
Okay, so again, these are all on
Almost
YouTube.
finished.
You can have access to these. You can show these to family members. You can
Anna
show them
looks to her teacher
whoever
and
to help
voc-
them understand some of the things that
By
we've
moving
talked
her
about.
body to ring
so
bells.
they're there,
While
and
Anna-
we are more than happy to stay for a while. I don't think anybody's coming in after us tonight, so we are more than happy to stay. I've got a ball game at 6 o'clock, but other than that. College baseball. I got a ball game. So, okay, so other than that, I can stay till 10 till 6 if you've got questions. But thank you for coming. We hope you've gotten a few good ideas. And like I said, we're more than happy to stay and answer questions. So come on up and we'll chat.